Yeah, we're going together. You just stay there. Well, so you've got about 500,000 Rand to spend on a bakkie, but you're not quite sure if you want to go new or used. If you want to go Toyota or the new kid on the block. Well, that's what we're here to find out. In the front, you've got that very familiar Toyota nose. You've also got big lights over here, no LEDs, and this bull bar. Now, when you're buying secondhand, you're going to get the benefit of the owner's investments, which is something like that, so you didn't have to pay for it. The JAC is a very handsome car, most would agree. And this one's got new technology in the lights over there, LED, and this black grille over here, which I prefer over the chrome one. Having said that, the approach angle on the JAC might be beat by that Toyota over there. On the side here, you've got 18-inch wheels versus 17-inch wheels. Well, it's a new car, that's to be expected. Let's check out the build quality. Feels like a good new door. Considering that this car's 6 years old, that's not too shabby. You've also got these indicators over here on both of these cars. Although that one's got new technology, I think I prefer this one over here. You get a coated load bay, a sturdy little tailgate over there, and other sturdy pieces everywhere. Just like on this Toyota. Not bad. Stepping inside the GD6 from 2016 isn't like stepping inside a 6-year-old bakkie. You see, when this came out, it was a light years ahead of the previous Hilux. You've got a decent infotainment system here that is touchscreen. You've also got a fairly modern looking dashboard over here. The swoops and curves of the dash work really well, and I do like the fact that this is in black. This leather over here, though, isn't standard leather. Most of these came out with cloth trim, and this is an aftermarket leather cover on the seat. The JAC is much more modern inside. You've got a much bigger screen over here and a just more newer feel to things. These aren't leather seats in this specific model, but the guys from MyRide have assured me that future JACs will have full leather interior. The dash doesn't really compare with the Toyota as well. I do wish that this was all black though. I think it would look a lot more modern if everything was finished in black like the Toyota. But other than that, I think it's a decent comparison between the two. I have to say, the Toyota takes this one by a nose. Although I think the JAC has more space in the back, it doesn't have this handy little armrest in the center console over here. As soon as we left the MyRide dealership, I headed to some gravel roads to see how the bakkies performed off the road. The JAC was comfortably within its rollover range, but I wasn't very comfortable. I decided to invite our cameraman and editor Craig to come sit as ballast, just in case.
Yeah, we're going together. You just stay there.
As you can see, the T8 is more capable than me off-road. And once you put it in two-wheel drive mode, obviously, you're gonna get stuck in little spots here and there. Stick it into four-wheel drive and it can do what most 4x4s can do. The technology has moved on so much over the last couple of years that most 4x4s are very, very capable, more capable than your average 4x4 driver. Yes, that first gear is a little bit short, but if you start it off in second gear, you should be fine. It does, however, lack some of the refinement of the Toyota, but you can feel that the Toyota is a premium model, even though it is from 2016. It was made in a factory to be a top spec model. Of course, the T8 comes loaded with a whole bunch of features that the Toyota doesn't have. It doesn't have stability control like this, which means you can pretty much do anything on a gravel road and you should be okay. Do not try this at home, folks. Turning circle on the JAC also feels a little bit better than the Toyota. And when you do eventually find that spot, you've got a nifty, very clear rear view camera to let you know what's going on at the back. Thank you. Thanks for the warning. Gravel driving is a little bit choppy, but not choppier than the Toyota. And most ladder frame bakkies aren't going to do fantastically well unless the back is fully laden. So I do think it's on par with its 2016 rival. This one also has Apple CarPlay amongst many of the other new features to be found. One feature that I don't like though is the strange looking hazard button over here. The Chinese have evolved a lot over the years when it comes to vehicle manufacturing. The JAC T8 is one of the best to come out of China, and definitely a level up from many of the other vehicles that they've produced in the past. Is it as good as a 2016 bakkie? That's a good question. Oh, looks like I'm stuck. All I gotta do is put it into four-wheel drive mode. There we go. Like a champ. Modern 4x4s are amazing. Amazing. Now in the 2016 Toyota, oh, and I gotta say, certain things do feel slightly easier in the Toyota. Even with 186,000 kilometers on the clock, it still feels really good. Yes, the clutch doesn't feel as new as the JAC, and I think the gears feel slightly more slick just because they've been used a little bit more. When you go over these bumps over here, you can feel some of the age in the components. When buying a car like this, the odd squeak and rattle is going to be normal, but again, because it's a Toyota, there's not much to speak of. It actually drives really nicely, and these seats, dare I say, are slightly more comfortable, not as supportive as the JAC. So far, a very close battle between these two. Because this is the GD6, it's got a bit more power and a lot more torque, so it's a lot easier to drive around this steep, dusty road over here. One can really tell why South Africans love driving bakkies, because I could just drive it on this road all day long. I do quite like this grab handle over here. I tell you what, there's not that much difference between a 2016 Toyota bakkie and a brand new one either. Okay, let's see, turning circle. Got a nice rear view camera, not too bad resolution if I'm honest. Compared to the JAC, definitely the first 2-3 gears are a bit more effortless and the spacing is a little bit better. Some owners of the JAC have said that they enjoy using that short first gear on very steep uphill sections, especially if you're gonna go for the two-wheel drive version. Traction control kicking in here quite a bit. Okay, so it does look like this one has some sort of stability control. Let's see if we turn the traction off. TRC off. Well, let's try again. I wasn't sure that time. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, it did kick in. It just kicks in a little bit later than its modern cousin. I think comparing a Toyota bakkie to anything is a bit unfair because we've all got a picture of what a Toyota bakkie is like in our heads. This feels like a bakkie's supposed to feel because I've been raised on a diet of Hilux all my life. And we're stuck, two-wheel drive mode. Let's see how easy it is to change to 4 high. Takes a little bit longer than the JSC. And it's not working. 4-wheel drive, I need you now. I need you. Okay, it's still flashing on the screen here. No, definitely still two-wheel drive mode. Okay, now let's see if we can, there we go. 4-wheel drive, here we go. Let's get out of here. Or not. Okay, so where the JAC didn't get stuck. Okay, I've turned the traction control off. So let's put the traction control on again. And there we go. Okay. So yeah, modes aside, they're pretty much as capable as the other. On the road, the Toyota Hilux feels unsurprisingly car-like. And this was one of the first vehicles to move in that direction, to start the lifestyle side of things when it comes to driving a bakkie. Before the likes of bakkies like this, bakkies were off-road only vehicles. Difficult to drive, especially manual. But even this manual over here, it's a cinch to drive around town. It's got a car-like interior, but it's got the same off-road ability that Toyota has always promised on and delivered. I can see everything out of the vehicle. It's easy to park. Steering feels pretty good. And although I felt a little bit of a shake here and there on the gravel, on the tar, there's not much shaking going on. It feels pretty solid actually. Thanks to the big jump that this was over the previous Hilux, it still feels pretty competent, especially when it comes to the interior. Let's see what the audio system sounds like. Well, it sounds like that at the moment. I don't have a USB stick to test the music, but I don't think the audio sound system in here is very good, and that's always been a problem with Toyotas and specifically the Hilux. Looks like when it comes to sound quality and audio system, the JAC definitely has the Toyota beat. Oh, wonderful acceleration. Wonderful torque and acceleration. It's not really fair to compare the 2-liter of that version to the 2.8 GD6, and we know the 2.8 GD6 is a fantastic engine, in fact one of the best of its kind. So the torque on this is just delivered from absolutely anywhere, even if you go as low as 1000 RPM like that. 1100 RPM, come on, there we go. Turbo kicks in at 1.5 and off we go. Simple as that. Now back in the JAC, and it definitely feels like a much newer, more solid car, especially on the road. Everything feels tighter, and although the clutch feels a little bit newer, wow, yeah, it definitely feels a lot newer inside here. It feels like everything is slightly better held together. Not necessarily put together, but it's definitely been together for a shorter period of time. I just heard the door locking mechanism kick in now, and there's a lot of similarities between this and the Toyota. The two are actually pretty closely matched, just one is slightly older than the other one. The JAC now, of course, benefits from all that technology that the Toyota has brought to the table over the years. And the Chinese have taken that technology and built, frankly, very capable little car. Torque on here is not bad. Torque band is pretty narrow, so don't expect to be going much higher than 3,800 RPM. Power kicks in from as low as 1,000. There we go. Nothing, 1.5, maybe 175. So you're probably going to feel that torque kicking in at 175, and yes, it doesn't have as much as the GD6, but it is only a little 2-liter. The aircon in here works really well, but if you feel around the switchgear, you can still feel that Toyota switchgear is just a little bit more premium. The Toyota, of course, also has buttons on the steering wheel, but this is a much more modern version and modern take of those buttons. They both have 6-speed gearboxes. One little thing that I did notice is that the handbrake on the Toyota, although smaller, feels a little bit more expensive almost. Visibility out of the JAC is also good. They've really taken a lot of lessons from Toyota and Ford and other bakkie manufacturers to create this. And don't forget that JAC isn't exactly a small company either. JAC Motors is in fact one of the biggest Chinese automobile manufacturers. And in 2012, they produced over 445,000 units. Toyota, of course, has their IMT system, which gives you rev matching, which this one does not, but who's got fuel for that these days anyways? Now that I've spent some time in the JAC, I'm kind of starting to like it. As far as bakkies go, it's not a bad bakkie. And for the price that you're paying, it kind of makes it a great bakkie. So what is the big benefit of getting this bakkie, and why does it win in one major category? Well, because the JAC comes with a warranty and the 2016 Toyota does not. There is a compromise when it comes to resale value, and one would have to do the due diligence on each different model and see if it's still going to be worthwhile in the end. But I would say the factors to look at are future resale value, current resale value of the Toyota, and of course, warranty and service plan, which you don't get with a used vehicle. An interesting dilemma that we face these days. I, for one, am glad that there are bakkies like the JAC on the market. It gives consumers like you and me more opportunities to get into the bakkie market, and more opportunities to get into a decent bakkie. Home to Nissan, Hyundai, Isuzu, Renault, JAC, FAW, and multi-franchise branches, including the MyBakkie brand, MyRide Group is your one-stop shop for all your motoring needs in the Western Cape and Gauteng. Visit myride.co.za to see what they're all about.